says we're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Obviously, Gulf of Mexico is a name recognized by the United Nations. It's an organization of the United Nations, but the next question is, why don't we call it Mexican America? It sounds nice, doesn't it? Right. Since 1607, the Apatzingan Constitution referred to it as Mexican America. So, let's call it Mexican America. It sounds nice, doesn't it?
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Trump's latest press conference had nothing to do about how to get us out of conflict areas around the world as he campaigned on, but more about how to create conflict with countries we were already friends with. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down.
Donald Trump throws out a lot of strange and rather random ideas on a regular basis. He did it yesterday when suggesting we rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Well, let me say this. I'd agree to working with Donald Trump on renaming the Gulf of Mexico only if he first agrees to work with us on an actual plan to lower costs for Americans. That's what the American people want us to focus on first, not on renaming bodies of water.
Trump held a typical meandering press conference, evidently one that he had all of the questions from Fox, including their follow-up questions, in advance. This is how little he can actually answer off-the-cuff questions. Well, during this heavily prepared press conference, he decided to say that he wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, for no apparent reason other than being that ugly American who feels entitled to do whatever they want, and at the same time antagonizing our ally and neighbor, Mexico. Well, the Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum hasn't shied away from going toe-to-toe with Trump over his prior comments, and she certainly didn't now either. She held her own press conference in Spanish, and this is what she said. Obviously, the Gulf of Mexico is a name recognized by the United Nations, she said, and then she gestured to a historic map showing North America with the name emblazoned on it, America Mexicana. She said, quote, "Why don't we call it Mexican America? It sounds nice." No? Well, she certainly doesn't kiss his ring, isn't worried about his response. This is the kind of leader who knows how to handle Trump, that the world needs to be able to go toe-to-toe with Trump. And maybe, just maybe, she can convince us Americans that, yes, we can have a female leader too.
When Donald Trump won in November, it was largely on the promise of improving the everyday lives of American people, from fixing inflation after it was already fixed to fighting the nationwide crime wave that he made up. And today, in a press conference from Mar-a-Lago, Trump announced one of those common sense kitchen table policies that Americans have been waiting for.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
It's not just Trump that is talking about taking over Greenland, Panama, Canada. It's his allies, and they're going out there in the media and they're talking about why it's strategically important for us to do so. Their arguments sound a whole lot like why we were defending Ukraine. If you know, we were trying to sound the alarm, saying not only is it the right thing to do to defend land from being taken by Russia, but strategically it's important because if Russia starts taking Ukraine, they're not going to stop at Ukraine. All of a sudden, Maga is using the strategic importance of Greenland for why we should be taking over. Never mind that Greenland has said they're not for sale several times since Trump brought this up. Never mind the fact that Trump has been talking about America first and wanting to get us out of wars. Well, the people that voted for him should be scared because it's not just him spouting off in press conferences and these one-off things. It's his MAGA representatives reinforcing it in interviews like this.
This is a Democrat Party that is more interested in advancing the interests of criminal illegal aliens on American territory, committing crimes against American citizens, than they are in advancing the interests of this nation. I find that utterly repugnant, and that is something President Trump is going to fix. And listen, I think that the people of Panama, I think that the people of Greenland, I think that the people of Canada, for that matter, should be honored that President Trump wants to bring these territories in under the American fold.
Okay, they don't seem honored, just to be clear.
When Trump posted this on his social media, "Oh, Canada," showing Canada as literally a part of America, the MAGA voters who voted for him didn't cry, "We're going to be spending our money on weapons overseas." No, they doubled down. A congressperson went on a right-wing podcast and showed a similar map, acting as if Canada was one of our colonies. Now, this is what we are doing to our allies. Trump is now referring to Prime Minister Trudeau as the governor of Canada. And I think we should all realize that in 4 years, the governor of Canada is going to be a phrase that most of MAGA is going to use. It's basically what he did with the media. Fake news was considered so offensive, and unfortunately now it's part of our language. This is the problem with Trump. Whether or not this is just a distraction, his words carry so much weight as president. They get disseminated, and so much of our country listens to him and wants to support him regardless of what he says, that what he says gets momentum. And it's really dangerous that what he's talking about right now is literally taking over friendly countries. Senator Elizabeth Warren realizes that this is most likely a distraction to the fact that he plans on nominating really bad cabinet nominees. Let's hear what she says.
We respect the boundaries of other countries. We expect other countries to respect our boundaries. Vladimir Putin with Russia did not do that and invaded Ukraine. And we have pushed back hard against that. That is world order. That's international law. But I want to make a second point, and that is, why is Donald Trump doing this? And I think the answer is, let's have a big distraction and several more questions so we don't spend more time on Pete Hegseth, the nominee to be the head of the Department of Defense. So we don't spend more time on Tulsi Gabbard, who has been in the pocket of Putin and is not someone who should be trusted with our secrets, so that we don't spend more time on Robert Kennedy's views on vaccines. In other words, we have a job in front of us right now, and that is advise and consent on the nominees who are there to run our government.
I know it's difficult to listen to Trump during his press conferences. I think it's something that we are all dreading for the next 4 years, because his press conferences and any statements he makes tends to be filled with lies, fake self-congratulatory statements, or just antagonistic, offensive, racist, or hateful statements. But we can't look away. My job, I feel like these next 4 years, is to inform and be informed, because a free press is crucial to our democracy. And it's not just Trump. Sure, Trump is saying all these things about taking over Greenland and Canada, but so are his allies. And that's why it's something that we need to continue to follow. This is what a sitting senator from Utah, Mike Lee, had to say about possibly annexing parts of Canada. This ally, introducing this theory into the political discourse, whether or not it is for distraction or not, is dangerous, because it gets picked up on by the MAGA movement, and it becomes something that ends up being debated whether or not we're going to do this for a Canadian ally. So we can't look away. This is what he had to say.
You know, it's kind of interesting when it comes to Canada. I wonder if we should consider, could we take Alberta and leave the rest? I don't know. It might be like our own little frozen Texas of the North. They may even want to join us. I don't know. But quite frankly, one way or another, I think this is mostly just about President Trump trolling Justin Trudeau for his terrible, embarrassing mismanagement of the country, from the most insane COVID lockdowns, as if they could get any more insane than what we saw in parts of this country, to flooding the country with foreigners, just like Joe Biden has done in the United States, to apologizing for Canada's success and rich history, to allowing an evil regime of assisted suicide to be normalized.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.